There are so many retirement accounts like 401k, 403b, 457, TSP, IRS, and so on. And this question often comes up whether Roth or traditional is right for you. So I want to bring up 3 main reasons why I am prioritizing Roth investing for my retirement and how you can decide whether you should invest in Roth or traditional. As always, I am fired up to talk about this because this video could save you thousands of dollars from talking to a financial advisor or save you tens of thousands of dollars in retirement.
Save your money!
So let me show you first how we are taxed by the government. And let's first assume that you are a single individual and your adjusted gross income is $120,000 a year. The standard deduction is $14,600 for the tax year 2024. And I'm going to use it as an example throughout this video. And don't try to bash me saying that, oh, nobody makes $120,000. There's a reason why I chose $120,000. So just stay tuned and check this out, okay? After the standard deduction, your taxable income is $105,400, assuming that you don't have any additional deduction. So the standard deduction basically means that the first $14,600 you earn is non-taxable income. You actually don't get taxed until your income starts at $14,600 first dollar. Okay. And if you're married and filing your taxes jointly, then the standard deduction doubles to $29,200 for 2024. I hope that makes sense so far. So if you're married and filing your taxes jointly, $29,200 is considered non-taxable income, which is another word for standard deduction, and you don't start getting taxed until you start making $29,200 first dollar, okay? And the United States uses a progressive tax system. And for the longest time in my life, I used to think we would get taxed at a flat rate. And that's not the case at all. Just because you make $100,000 a year as a single individual, it does not mean that the government will tax you at 24%. That would be the regressive tax system. The first 10% of my income will be taxed at 10%, will be $11,600. That's going to be my income after $14,600 multiplied by 10%, and that gives you $1,160. And then we're going to pay the next $35,550 of my income for 12%, which is $4,266. And then we're going to pay the next $53,375 of my income for 22%, which is going to be $11,742. Then we're going to pay the remaining $48.75 under the 24% marginal tax rate, which will be $1,170. It's not a lot because of the 24% tax bracket just covers the income between $100,526 and $191,000. I don't have to worry about moving up to the next tax bracket until my taxable income reaches above $192,000. Again, I'm using the 2024 taxes as an example in this scenario. So the total taxes, or what we call the effective tax rate, will be $18,338. And if I divide that by $120,000 in taxable income, then it's 15.3% in the effective tax rate. Again, that is the total taxes I paid in accordance with the progressive tax system, okay? So 18,338 came from here, 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 and here. You add them up all together, and then you just divide this by 120,000 and gives you 15.3%. The marginal tax rate is different from the effective tax rate. The highest marginal tax rate in this scenario is 24%, but the effective tax rate is 15.3%. So if my taxable income goes up to $192,000 as a single individual, then my marginal tax rate would increase to 32%, but my effective tax rate will only be around 19%. This is crucial information to understand when you try to decide how much of your current income should go into Roth or traditional. Because if my income goes up even higher as a single individual, then I'm going to be taxed at 32% after $192,000, 35% after $243,000, and 37% after $609,000. So if you're a single individual, you pay more taxes than those who are married and filing their taxes jointly. You'd be surprised to know how many Americans actually don't understand how the progressive tax system works. And it's okay, because I was definitely one of them many years ago. But most of us are in between 10 and 24% marginal tax rates. If you invest in Roth right now, you're essentially paying either 10, 12, 22, or 24% in marginal tax rate, depending on your income, right? If I think my retirement is going to be in a higher tax bracket at 24% or higher, which is the middle point of the tax bracket, then I would prefer to maybe invest in a Roth because my income is going to be higher, right? But you could argue that if my income is going to be lower in retirement, then why not invest in traditional now so that I can have lower taxes? That's because investing in a Roth right now means these Roth investments will be taxed at 0% when I retire. If I invest in traditional in pre-tax right now, then I'm going to pay taxes later in my retirement. While paying no taxes right now might be tempting, I have to consider several other retirement income sources. If my pension income is going to be $40,000 a year, that's already at 12% marginal tax rate. If I have real estate income, that could move me up to a 22% marginal tax rate, right? If I decide to withdraw more traditional 401k in my retirement, and if I want to convert that to Roth IRA, that could potentially put me in between 22 and 24% marginal tax rate. The bottom line is that you have to do the reverse calculation. How much do you think you'll pay in taxable retirement income? By the way, did you know that over 50% of Americans who make over $100,000 a year are living paycheck to paycheck? So is it always an income problem or a spending problem? If you're having trouble figuring out your budget, I encourage you to download a budget app called YNAB. YNAB stands for You Need a Budget. That's right. Whether you make $50,000 a year or $200,000 a year, every one of you needs to create a budget to achieve financial independence. You need to give every dollar a job so that you can be more intentional with your savings and spending. You can get a free trial without any credit card information by using the link in the description below. And let me use the same example from a few minutes ago. Let's say I'm looking to retire with over $1.25 million in my Roth accounts. A 4% withdrawal rate would be about $50,000 a year in tax-free withdrawals. The tax rates will be adjusted by inflation annually. But just for simplicity's sake, and I will keep using the 2024 marginal tax rates, but that $50,000 a year in tax-free income could pretty much replace my taxable income at 22 and 24% marginal tax rates. That's going to save me a substantial amount in taxes every year during my retirement, right? Not to mention the earnings and interest inside my Roth will grow tax-free. This is probably the biggest benefit of all. And about 90% of Americans will have less income in retirement than they did when they were actively employed. Having that 12% marginal tax rate will be a huge win in retirement using a Roth investments because you already pay taxes on your contributions in your early years. And those earnings and interest have been growing tax-free. And this is why I'm prioritizing Roth right now, because I want to reduce my taxable income in retirement as much as possible. As ridiculous as it sounds, we all have to pay taxes again when we collect our Social Security pensions. It almost sounds like a scheme that the government is playing with us, but that should be a topic for another day. And the other reason to keep my dollars in Roth is that Congress recently passed a bill to ditch the RMD in all of our Roth accounts. RMD stands for Required Minimum Distributions. For traditional IRA, traditional 401k, or any other traditional retirement accounts like 403b, 457, TSP, they would require you to start withdrawing from your accounts at the age of 73. If you don't cash out your traditional accounts at a certain RMD amount, you could get penalized by the IRS. Roth, on the other hand, can't force you to take money out anymore because you already pay taxes on the contributions. Traditional, on the other hand, the government wants people to pay their fair share when the time is due. If I contribute my pre-tax dollars in the year 2024, the government will want to collect my taxes in the year 2060 when I hit my RMD age. And that's just me, right? Because I'm 37 right now. Can you tell me what the tax rates will be in the year 2060? It could be a lot higher than where we are now or a lot lower than where we are now. That's the biggest unknown when it comes to investing between Roth and traditional, right? People in the higher income tax bracket are still contributing to Roth because they're betting on the tax rates to rise in the future. So just to help you decide whether Roth is right for you, here's some pros and cons you can review. And I may be paying taxes now on the contributions, but the earnings and interest that grow with my contributions are tax-free. You should never underestimate the power of compound interest. If I just max out my Roth IRA, for example, every single year with an 8% average annual return, the interest and earnings of my contributions would triple in about 30 years. You can fact check me by downloading my compound interest calculator for absolutely free by visiting firesuch.com/resources. And thanks to Secure Act 2.0, RMDs, or required minimum distributions, no longer exist with Roth 401k, Roth 403b, or Roth 457, or TSP. You have the power to control when you can make withdrawals for as long as you're alive. Not to mention, when I pass away, my beneficiaries can get the same tax advantage treatment as me and make regular tax-free and penalty-free withdrawals. Make sure to read up on the inherited Roth IRA rules on the IRS website, because that's a little bit different. And just with a Roth IRA, you can actually withdraw your contribution at any time penalty-free because you already pay taxes on the contributions. The government, surprisingly, can't tax your retirement contributions twice. Did you know that? But keep in mind that the rule only applies to the Roth IRA and not Roth 401k. And when I turn 59 and a half, I can withdraw my Roth earnings and interest tax-free and penalty-free. This is going to significantly reduce my taxable income when I take money out of my traditional 401k and traditional TSP. And keep in mind that the pension income, like Social Security, military, or other private defined benefit plans, are considered taxable income. If I need more income when I'm retired, using Roth doesn't move me to another tax bracket. And if you have additional questions about how to set up your Roth IRA or what index funds or ETFs to explore inside an IRA or 401k, you can always visit my YouTube page and find the 401k or Roth IRA playlist. I've made so many videos about the retirement strategy, early retirement strategy, and increasing your income throughout your lifetime. Whether you choose to invest in Roth or not, I want you to win. You can't win if you don't start investing. Instead of figuring out how much you're going to invest now, try figuring out your expenses during your retirement, because you need to have a purpose of investing. Instead of figuring out what stocks, mutual funds, or ETFs to invest in, you should first figure out how to increase your savings rate. And this has been another beast of a video, and I hope you got a lot out of it.